I'd like to call to order the board, okay, excuse me. I'd like to call to order the Paris Union High School District Board meeting for February 12th, 3 o'clock p.m. Can I? Item number 3.1, invitation to address the Board of Trustees, closed session items only.
No takers tonight.
Next item 4.1, the Board of Trustees will discuss the items listed in this section. Do I have a motion to adjourn the closed session?
Second.
Who was it? Okay. I don't know why I'm doing this. Okay, please vote. And we have 5 to 0 to go to closed session. 3:02 p.m. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Paris Union High School District School Board meeting, and we're going to proceed and come out of closed session. So, item 5.1, we reconvene from closed session at 5 o'clock. We're late. 5:20 p.m. Now, at this time, we're going to close the board. No. Oh, I want to go to CMI. Okay. Everyone stand, please. Ready? Begin. Dr. Freeman will do the invocation.
We are having a tumultuous time in this entire country. It seems that no matter where we go, we have people who are upset about this thing or the other thing. It comes down to our level, and we concern ourselves with which is most important to us, our children. We want to make sure that our children learn how to handle things so that they don't end up with like our country is right now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Freeman. Okay. At this time, we're going to recess the meeting to conduct the regular board meeting of the California Military Charter School, Institute Charter School at 5:22. So at this time, we'd like to reopen the Paris Union High School regular board meeting at 5:39 p.m. Item 8.1 is revision, adoption, and ordering of agenda. Do I have a motion?
Well,
Second.
we do have one, we're moving 12.3, we're pulling item 12.35 from the agenda this evening. We'll bring it back next month.
Thank you. Anybody else?
It was
Yeah. All right, wrap it up. Item 8.1 passes 5-0. Item 9.1 is report out of closed session.
No report out of closed session this evening.
Okay, thank you. Item 9.2, district update by the superintendent.
There's a few things I just want to talk about this evening. Donald Cercia, who's the band teacher over at Paris High School, has been nominated for the 2019-20 National Life Changer of the Year Award. Mr. Cercia was nominated by an anonymous colleague for his dedication to the music education. When he arrived at Paris High 10 years ago, there was no marching band and limited resources. Within a couple of years, Cercia was able to develop a competitive marching band, which has been a finalist at the state band competitions for the past 5 years. He not only teaches music, but he also provides students with the ability to be a fabric of our society. Cercia's nominator said, they are responsible for managing scheduled practices and performances, maintaining cleanliness of the school and public areas, being considerate of others, developing good social skills, and having a good attitude when it comes to teamwork that transfers to everyday real-world challenges. So we want to congratulate Mr. Cercia for that, being nominated for that award. Another winner for us this year, Hector Gonzalez. Where's Hector at? Hector Gonzalez was selected as Classified Manager of the Year for AXA Region 19, which is all of Riverside County, and now he's eligible to go for the state award. So we're wishing him well. And then March is Women's History Month, which we celebrate the successes of all women and the invaluable contributions that generations of women have made to our society. Our society continues to improve because of these contributions. Jose Medina from the 61st Assembly District presents the Woman of Distinction Award each year. This year's recipient is our very own Sonia Redskala for her contributions to the community and serving as a role model for young women in our district. Congratulations, Sonia. Stand up. Last Thursday, I was able to attend the District African American Parent Advisory Council Fashion Show at Pinacati Middle School. It was a good evening. Mr. Stafford, Dr. Newman, Mr. Skorpanich, and I will be judging the District Poetry Slam tomorrow evening at CMI. On January 18th, the IAQ Tech Fair was held in Corona, and we had the largest contingency at that event from our district and presenting, and Mr. Nellison was there with us also that day. This past weekend, PUHSD held its 7th annual First Tech Challenge Robotics competition held at Paris High School. There were over 50 teams competing from across the Southern California region. PUHSD had 12 teams compete. There was some tough competition, but the following teams all from Heritage High School will be advancing to the LA Regional Competition in Monrovia. And on March 7th, those teams were Gear Gurus, Blood, Sweat, and Gears, Titan, Patriotic Robotics, and Machine Kings. And a special thank you to the robotics advisors, Ms. Stacy McPherson and Richard Santana, Diane Martin and her staff for the wonderful custodial staff at Paris High School for all the hard work that was needed to make the weekend happen. And to Mike Wilson from Paloma Valley High School, the robotics teacher there, for putting together a video clip that we're going to show you right now. That was a great job by Mr. Wilson, to Mr. Wilson for putting that together. The last thing I have is, just a few weeks ago, Paris High School completed their 3-year WASC midterm visit and did a great job with it. They did a great report, and with full confidence they'll receive the rest of their accreditation like we expect. That's all I have for this evening.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent Bennett. The next item, information item 9.3, student representatives to the Board of Trustees. So we'll start with Trustee Nellison. We'll introduce Heritage High School student.
From Heritage High School, Student Representative Perla Ceja.
Good evening, President Stafford, members of the board, Mr. Bennett. Members of the cabinet, my name is Perla Ceja. I'm extremely excited to share a few highlights of what has been happening at Heritage since last meeting. Women in Sports Conference. We had an amazing group of our Lady Patriots athletes attend Women in Sport Conference last week. Our mock trial team participated in their first round of competition at the Southwest Detention Center. Our prosecution team tore up the courtroom with argumentative skills, acting prowess, and public speaking abilities. We wish them the best of luck at their competition this week. Our annual Mr. Heritage pageant took place last Friday. We had 8 contestants compete for the titles of Mr. Legacy, Mr. Patriot, and Mr. Heritage. Contestants competed in formal wear, casual wear, talent, and question and answer components. We are very appreciative of our partnership with Men's Warehouse, who donates the use of all tuxedos. It was a fun night for everyone. This is the second year our French Honor Society has been in existence. They had an induction ceremony where 10 of our top French students were initiated into this prestigious recognition. In addition, the group of students completed International Francophone Country Service project where they collected over 1,000 pencils and sharpeners to give to the children in Haiti. With the help of one of our awesome campus supervisors, Isaac Soberano, who also serves as a missionary in Haiti. National School Counseling Week. Last week was National School Counseling Week, and we wanted to give a big shout out to our counseling team at Heritage. They work so hard day in and day out to make sure our student needs are met, and we wanted to take a second honor and thank them for their hard work and dedication. Our monthly celebrations. Our student of the month of February is Edom Sedor. Edom is one of our amazing students. He is top of our class. He is a Link Crew leader, Avid member, French Honor Society member, agricultural program member, stellar student, and one of our most humble person you will ever meet. Elvira Suazo Roman is our classified staff of the month. Miss Elvira is one of our parent community aides. She is amazing and does so much work for our school. Caleb Moen is the teacher of the month. This is Mr. Moen's second year at Heritage. He is a band director. He works so hard with our band, choir, drumline, and color guard. We are so thankful to have these 3 individuals as part of the Patriot family. And then our upcoming events is the Black History Month Showcase, Campus-Wide Heart Attack Valentine, FFA Plant Sale, the FAFSA Fiesta, Prom Expo, Dance Showcase, and our Patriot Olympics. That concludes the presentation. Thank you so much for the continued support of what we do at Heritage. Thank you for your time. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Trustee Freeman will introduce the Paloma Valley High School student.
From Paloma Valley High School, we have Samantha Gunt and Sierra Tomlin. Come on down.
Good evening, President Stafford and board members, Superintendent Bennett, and Cabinet. I'm Sierra Tomlin, and here with me tonight is Sammy Gaunt, and we are ASB representatives tonight.
Last week, our AVID students took a road trip around California, touring many different colleges with alumni to see what their future could hold. They traveled to campuses as far as San Francisco State while they wrote in their journals judging each campus and their atmospheres. They also got a taste of dorm life and how boarding situations work. They had an amazing time.
Recently, you could find our AP Environmental Science students talking about their progress and knowledge gained from their 2-month Eco Column lab. An eco-column is a self-sustaining ecosystem made of plastic bottles. They recorded themselves answering questions about factors and results of the lab. Our APE students class is growing every day, and the students love learning about the environment.
This month, 6 out of our 7 winter sports teams earned the title of league champs. They worked their hardest, and now they will begin to progress throughout playoffs. Cheer will be traveling to Anaheim for nationals this weekend.
Our athletic director chose top athletes of our women's sports teams and sent them an invite in the Women's Sports Conference. At this conference, the girls got to hear from inspiring women athletes and their experiences. They got to hear from an Olympic gold medalist and the former UCLA softball coach. The girls left the conference very motivated and reminded that they are capable of anything.
This month, our ASB leaders on campus are advertising for next month's Neon Nightclub MORP by wearing neon t-shirts around campus, letting students know that tickets are now on sale. The first students to take pictures with five ASB students wearing their shirts and bring proof to ASB class at their lunch will receive a free MORP ticket. This is a great way to get people to talk about MORP. Our goal is to get 300 ticket sales so we can have a successful MORP on March 13th. All this week, you will find ASB leaders advertising for more ticket sales. If we end up selling 500 tickets, our principal, Ms. Tomasian, will get pied in the face at our pep rally.
We all hope that our students have a fantastic week off next week. When we return, we will be 2 weeks away from our MORP and spring pep rally, which is going to be fantastic. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Arauz will introduce Paris High School student representatives.
Thank you, sir. Now from Paris High School, let's welcome Cristal Garcia and Brena Lopez.
Good evening, President Stafford and board members, Superintendent Bennett and Cabinet. I am Brena Lopez, ASB President, along with Crystal Garcia, ASB Vice President. Your school board reps, Arendita and Valeria, cannot be here tonight. They are on the Avid Northern California trip. We heard they do a really good job, so bear with us as we will try to live up to their level. Speaking of the Northern California trip, we have 40 Avid students, juniors and seniors, that went up this week. What I think is very cool in the picture, on the right we have an alumni from 2018 with his sister. Many of you guys may know Miss Prez, the one in the middle, and on the right we have alumni ASB President Chalks and his little brother Adrian, who I hear is in the running for my throne.
February is Black History Month, and BSU is holding a Spirit Week this week. Monday was Blackout Day, and pictured is some of our students participating. BSU attended the Black College Expo, and some colleges were presented, historical Black colleges, as well some UCs, Cal States, and community colleges. One of our BSU Panthers received 3 college acceptance after being interviewed by the colleges.
In January, we had our second blood drive out of the 3. On the left, we have our baseball captain, Adrian, who is also on the Northern California trip, with baseball manager, Melanie, and his baseball teammates also came out to fully support the blood drive. In the middle pick, we have the drive captains, Carolina and Brian, who are in charge of it, donating, and the results showed 110 donors registered, 97 units collected, and 33 first-time donors. Paris bleeds by example. The only problem with this was too many Panthers were bleeding green, so we couldn't use some of the blood. Moving on, and the Oscar goes to our Senior Student of the Month, Kong. From my personal experience, when Kong first came to Paris High, he knew 0 English. Now as a senior, he knows 3 different languages. He is a part of the Calculus Club and Robotics Club, and he is an amazing example of what a Panther at Paris High looks like.
And our teacher of the month is Ms. Ibekwe, who has inspired many students to enter the medical field. TLC Power Civic Engagement Assembly is a club sponsored by Torek located in downtown Paris. The students presented and focused on the census 2020 and voter registration, and we had some entertainment by a mariachi.
In October, Paris partnered up with Jersey Mike's with a 5-day campaign to help the launching of their new store located in Paris. Through these 5 days, we made nearly $2,500, and this money that we fundraised was able to be used towards our events during lunch and rallies. It was an honor to attend the opening as they treated us very well. Last but not least, we have our Panther Athletics. Our fall sports may have not performed the best, but our winter sports was a very different story. Our boys soccer won the wild card this last Monday and advanced to first round CIF, which we'll be playing today. Our girls soccer won yesterday's first round CIF and will be playing tomorrow night for round 2. And our boys basketball, who is undefeated, will be taking league and back-to-back and will be playing their first round tonight. Tip-off is at 7 p.m.
To keep up with Paris, follow our socials. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Trustee Garcia will introduce Pinacati Middle School student representatives.
Yes, Janelli Cortez and Darius Prado, please come on up.
Good evening, President Stafford, board members, Superintendent Bennett, and Cabinet. I am Darius Prado.
And I am Janelli Cortez. We are Pinacati's Associated Student Representatives.
This past month, students had a great start of the semester. With all this hard work, they have been able to participate in fun activities as well, including in our most recent VIP field trip.
50 students went to the Autoplex in Pomona to learn about rocket science and watch drag racing. They had a fun time learning about everything from the way a rocket works to the basic functions of a car.
We also had a back-to-school rally on the first Friday of the semester to kick off this second semester. We talked about getting ready for promotion, how to succeed, ways to get rid of tardies and absences. We also talked about how students can use their PUM points in various ways.
Our fourth spirit week of the semester is happening this week. It's Kindness Week, hosted by our school's club and JHS. The week consists of Nerd Day, Pink Day, Superhero Day, Tourist Day, and Dress Your Best You Day. And with every day comes with an inspirational quote about kindness. We also have some exciting events for students to partake in. Coming up, first we have our Valentine's dance happening this Thursday.
Also, this Friday is a video game truck where a video game truck will come onto campus and students will play video games for 1 hour and get out of class. And they'll But to attend, they have to purchase a field trip with their PUM points. We also have 2 VIP field trips coming up. One will be IHOP, which students had donated for how much they donated. They got how many pancakes they would eat that day. And there will also be a VIP field trip to go watch Mulan on opening day.
That is all we have today. Thank you for your time
and your support, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I have the honor to introduce Paris Lake High School representatives, Santos Gutierrez and Aramis Marks.
Good evening, Governing Board and Cabinet members. My name is Santos Gutierrez. I am a student representative of Paris Lake High School's ASB, and I would like to introduce my fellow ASB member and representative, Aramis Marks. I want to thank the Governing Board, members of the Cabinet, and Superintendent Bennett for inviting us here to share the events at the lake. Here's a brief presentation summarizing the latest events.
Alyssa White is recognized as our December Student of the Month. Ms. White is a diligent individual who takes her work above and beyond expectations. Alyssa White was a student at Paris Lake High School but has now returned to Paris High School to complete the rest of her senior year. Alyssa has expressed how Paris Lake has benefited and motivated her to work harder on accomplishing her educational goals. Ms. White will be attending MSJC and CSU San Bernardino to become a social worker. Yuridia Villagrana is more than deserving of being this month's Student of the Month. Yuridia is being recognized for her continuous positive attitude towards peers, teachers, and whatever task is assigned. Ms. Villagrana goals for the future include attending RCC to study psychology and to enroll into the Army Infantry in 2020.
On January 23rd, Paris Lake presented the SOAR Awards to recognize students and their accomplishments. 78 students received an award. 3 students received Platinum Honors Award for a 4.0 GPA. 1 student received Platinum Honors for a 3.8 GPA. 13 students received an award for regular Platinum for 3.5 to 3.7 GPA. For the Gold Award of 3.0 to 3.4 GPA, 30 students received an award.
On January 24th, a group of 26 students attended the UCR campus field trip. Entering the campus, we were welcomed by numerous tour guides. The purpose was to get a sense of the college vibrancy. The tour guide presented the students with various programs that UCR had to offer, some including business, anthropology, political science, and government. The guide also informed us about campus housing. Prior to the trip, a variety of students who did not plan to attend college changed their mind and took it into consideration.
The Paris Job Sharing event was a great opportunity for students to get involved with their community and also hopefully get a better idea of what they want to do for a career. For example, I was given the opportunity to job shadow Skydive Paris. I'm actually trying to get a job there right now.
On January 31st, a group of 25 students attended the Dare to Be Aware conference field trip. As we continued the day, there was one workshop and 2 speakers. The one speaker that really stood out to the students was D. Hankins. He was teaching us to be resilient, and the speech he gave us is really powerful and emotional. But most importantly, it helped students realize what they have in life is a blessing. The quote he gave us to remember about life when it gets hard is life throws curveballs, but even curveballs can be hit for home runs.
Thank you for your time and cooperation. Are there any questions or concerns regarding this presentation?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Great job. Next, we have information 9.4 PSEA President Jason Miller.
Thank you very much. I also give out a shout out to
Jason, I'm sorry. At this time, can we, we'll excuse the kids if they'd like to go.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we like to let them go because it's going to be a little while. Thank you so much. Yes, you're welcome to stay, but thank you so much for your presentations. I'm sorry, Jason, for interrupting you. Okay. Okay, we can continue.
Okay, thank you. I would also like to give a shout out to Mr. Wilson. He does a really great job. The PSEA Executive Board and Representative Council has voted this week and last week on a resolution to officially endorse Boundary Set Number 1 for Liberty High School. It makes the most sense. It is what is best for all students in the Paris Union High School District. Of the 4 choices, number 1 does not cost the district any more ongoing money in busing and does not unnecessarily overcrowd Liberty. PSEA is glad that PUHSD is able to provide busing, but PUHSD should not pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for extra busing that is not needed. That money could go into the classroom to continue to support students in education for AVID, science, math, literacy, athletics, and the multitude of educational opportunities that PUHSD is able to provide. I heard the comment made that choice number 1 may separate students. Well, we have a transfer policy. problem solved. That problem was solved before it was even presented. Well done, PUHSD. I was saddened by a comment that was made on social media regarding boundaries. It was said, "I don't want my kids going to school with those kids." When I walk on campus at Paloma, I see a lot of students that don't look like me, and they are fantastic students. Some things you might want to know about those kids in this area. Those kids still live in Menifee. Those kids will still go to Paloma and Liberty with or without unification. Those kids have been sent to Ivy League schools from PUHSD. Those kids have broken track records and been top 50 athletes in the country under PUHSD. Those kids serve in our military to protect our freedom and our country under PUHSD. Thank you for your service. PSCA asks for PUHSD to vote for boundary set number 1 because it is the only choice that does not waste money, it is the only choice that does not crowd schools, and it is the only choice that does not differentiate between those kids and these kids, or this community and that community, but instead, boundary set number 1 looks out for all kids and communities. Thank you for this time to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I couldn't agree more. We'll move on. Item 9.5, CSEA President Josh Rushing.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's all right. I'll talk for myself.
Okay.
I'd like to thank Jason for saying what he said. For many of you, thank you, President Stafford, Board, Superintendent Bennett, and Cabinet for letting me speak tonight. At our town hall, that was kind of a subject that kind of rang true for me is, this differentiation between our students. Our students are great kids. They're all the same kids. They all live with each other. They're all friends with each other. So this whole idea that we need to have this separate area just for the elite and the children. Like I said at the meeting, apparently I live in the ghetto. I'm glad I learned that from Facebook. That was an awesome thing to learn. Tonight I wanted to speak to you guys. Luckily, after our last meeting, most of our problems were taken care of. So thank you, Cabinet, for that. Matter of fact, I think we're meeting for negotiations in a couple weeks. One of the things that we're going to be talking about is health and welfare. The preliminary results came back a little higher than our reopener, or than our cap was negotiated for. So we're hopeful that it can just be a quick, squeeze some money out of some tree somewhere and kind of help offset that cost for our members, because we already have some of the highest rates in our district. I don't think it's fair to have even higher rates that we can't control. So with that said, I look forward to hearing your guys' decision on the boundaries, and I'll see you next month.
Thank you, Mr. Rushing. Our next item is an information item, 9.6, comments by the Board of Trustees. Trustee Nelson. Okay. Dr. Freeman. Mr. Garcia, Trustee Garcia. And Dr. Arau. Okay. And I just want to thank both of the unions for their comments. They're really heartfelt, and sometimes we just have to process it and move forward. We know what we want to do, and I think we'll be fine. So let's move on to the next item. Next item is an action item, 10.1, approval of high school attendance boundaries to be implemented for the 2021-22 school year with the opening of Liberty High School.
Second.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So put the motions in. Okay. So we'll wait for the vote. Oh, no, a vote. I'm sorry. We got some discussion to do. Okay. Oh. Okay, statement from the president. Individual speakers should be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. With the board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic, the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. And with that, we'll have Bob O'Donnell from Menifee Union High School District. Hello, Bob. I'm sorry, not high school, Menifee, Menifee School District.
Good evening, Board President, board members, Superintendent, and Cabinet. I want to thank you for allowing me this opportunity. You know, it was really great for your board to listen to us at our last meeting, to come out to our Bell Mountain Middle School, to talk to our community about this boundary issue that you're going to vote on tonight. That told me that you were listening to what we were asking for you to table it for 1 month so that you could come out and address what was going to be happening with the different options. Dr. Good did a real good job of showing the different options. Superintendent Bennett and also Candace did a great job of expressing just what we were there for. A lot of times, you know, things get out of hand when they get on different issues. And I really appreciated how you guys kept on bringing it back to what options that were being offered. I'm here tonight to express to you to look very seriously at option 2. There's a small slice of Freedom Crest Elementary School that is out of the boundary area for Liberty. I'd like to see that slice be included so that they have the opportunity to go to Liberty. It's kind of interesting that we have the Freedom Elementary School and then we have Liberty High School. Well, you can't have freedom without liberty, and you can't have liberty without freedom. So it's so important that we look at this for our community. You know, I've lived in Menifee for 50 years. I've worked there and I've lived there for all this time. So we've seen a lot of changes, all of us have, in our communities. And with the new Liberty High School under construction, we've all been waiting a long time for this next high school. So when you vote tonight, look at that small slice that's in option 2, that we'd like to have it inclusive, so we also have the opportunity to go to Liberty High School. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sheila Curtis.
Good evening, President Stafford, Superintendent Grant Bennett, members of the Cabinet, the Board, and the community. My name is Sheila Curtis. I reside in the city of Murrieta and within the Menifee Union School District and Paris Union High School District. I served as the chair of Measure W and also sit on the Facilities Oversight Committee for Measure W and T. I am a proud parent of a Paloma alumni, as well as 2 current students, one a freshman and one a senior, and also I have a middle school student as well. One of the main reasons that we fought so hard for Measure W was to ensure all students have a safe environment to learn in. My students have and continue to be affected by overcrowding. I cannot understand why we would consider overcrowding Liberty High by moving forward with any boundary option other than option 1. We would be creating another situation like we currently have at Paloma Valley High School, limiting our students' ability to participate in AP classes, electives, sports, etc. Not only that, but we would set the district on the path to possibly having to do another bond measure to build another high school. It's hard when we're very passionate about these things as we are for our children. And I'd like to add to what the gentlemen were saying in regards to what these kids and those kids have. These kids and those kids who are our kids have heart and they have pride. As a parent, I get emotional, and I try to put that aside for this evening to really focus on the facts and the notion that if we're making decisions based upon what the best outcome is for our students and their education and their safety, we can't make a wrong choice. And in saying that, option 1 is based on numbers and facts, sound logic. It is the option that ensures our students will be able to benefit from all of what Liberty has to offer, all that we planned it to be. It will allow the students of Paloma to be able to benefit from all that Paloma has to offer, and Heritage and Paris High, by keeping the numbers at a reasonable, acceptable, and safe balance throughout the district. It seems to me that we are letting emotions of some dictate the needs of our students, all 10,000 of them. All students of PUHSD are created equal. They all deserve to learn in an environment that is not overcrowded. They deserve not to get lost in the shuffle. At the last town hall meeting, we had teachers from Paloma speak to that effect. And for those who haven't gone to Paloma, it's stifling the amount of students that are there. But they still have pride, they still have heart, and they function and they get along. When we started planning Liberty High School 4 many years ago, we had a common goal: stop overcrowding, one of the goals of our high schools, and allow students to thrive in their environment. I love that our students can choose what school best meets their needs through intra-district transfers. I appreciate that each campus has its own specialty, and it would be so sad to see that option go away because we have made a wrong choice on the boundaries of Liberty. I just wanted to say that for me, my opinion is option 1 is a win-win for all of our students, no matter where they live. Again, that intra-district transfer, the ability to do that, reaches so many of our kids, whether they're geared to a four-year college or a trade school. So I hope that you'll take that into consideration and remember the facts and the numbers and not be swayed by emotions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's all the speakers on this particular subject. Okay. So I need someone to make a motion on which option you feel that we want to
Since
vote
I made the initial motion, I'll make the motion for alternative 1.
Me second.
Second, Dr. Ross. Any discussion?
Yeah, thank you. All along, I had been looking at the 4 alternatives, and I thought that number 1 stood out. As had been mentioned, based on the facts. However, I also attended the town hall meeting, and while it did get to a point where I was very disappointed with some of the people that were speaking, showing me a side of a human being that I did not care for, I heard a very interesting comment made by community member Debbie Mannion. And I took that into heart, and I thought, she's right. We plan out for 10 years from now. But having been on both boards, having been a member of Menifee for the last 26 years, I know that we're growing so fast that we're not going to reach that 10-year point. So I'm putting aside my personal feeling on this and going with what I feel that the people that I represent would like, and I would vote for alternative number 2.
Thank you, Dr. Freeman. I didn't mean to skip you, Dave Nelson. Okay.
My thoughts on the matter are the numbers are going to have to dictate our decision here, because we can't go from overpopulation on one school to overpopulation on another school. It really makes no sense to why we're getting this high school up and running in the first place. That being said, I am part of the community that is being left out in that northern part of the Menifee Union school district. I live in that area, but I'm okay with that because we have the inter-district transfer that's available. So if I want my daughters to go to Liberty when they get to high school, I know I have that option. So for me, it's very much what Mr. Miller was talking about is it doesn't cost us extra money in busing, and it doesn't lead to overcrowding in the near future, and that's my reasoning for my decision as well. So,
Thank you, Trustee Nelson. Trustee Garcia, any comment?
I know how I want to vote. I know what I've heard from the entire communities, not just community. Let me be very clear on that. I've heard some things that were hurtful, disrespectful, degrading, not just towards me, but to all of our students. When I decided I wanted to run for school board, I knew that I would be representing a trustee area. But when I became a board member, I realized it's much greater than just an area. It's about everybody. And I want you guys to think about what we're doing right now. There's 5 of us here, and we're sweating blood right now, trying to make sure that what we decide tonight is what's right for everyone's future. And I want you all to understand these arrows and these darts that you guys are throwing at us, and this is for everybody who's just been negative. It hurts. But overall, the decision we're making is for the betterment of every single child. You know, I don't want to talk about, you know, the establishment of our country and everything, but it wasn't about 1 or 2 people. It was about everybody. And I think we all need to think about that, and then you'll see however it plays out tonight.
Thank you, Trustee Garcia. Trustee Rouse.
Thank you, Mr. Staffer. First of all, I want to say thank you to the district, the superintendent, to Dr. Good, for giving the opportunity to our community. I'm not going to talk about 2 communities. We are just one community. We are Parish Union High School District, right? To provide more input. As I said in previous board meetings, it is important to get the input, put in the variables on the equation, and see what is the outcome. It seems to me that based on the input that it was provided, we didn't have any other options, right? That we could balance the negative effects on 2, 3, and 4. We have a moral responsibility to be fiscally responsible and to have a long-term strategic vision for the benefit of our students, all of our students, not only a small group or a section or something like that. I want to say thank you to Jason for what you shared. I'm not going to repeat it. I just want to say that I completely agree, 100%. In terms of the comments, negatives and offensive, I feel confident that it's not all the community, that it doesn't reflect, and I hope that I'm right, that doesn't reflect the feelings of everybody of the community. There is some people, and that's fine, whatever they think, right? They have a constitutional right guaranteed by the First Amendment of freedom of speech, and we don't agree. We feel sad that they refer to our students in those terms, but it's on them, right? And I continue to respect the community, the board members, everybody who came here to speak in favor of what they think was going to be the best. But that being said, based on the data, on the elements, I also consider that option 1, it is the best alternative for our students. We are saving that, not saving, we are going to invest in a necessary expense or expenses in our students' education. So I'm going to vote for option number 1. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. The previous trustees have said a lot of the words that I totally agree with. I feel torn. I'm a Menifee resident. I represent the senior citizens and family area above me. So, you know, there are concerns, but I do know the history. I've been here 16 years, and my son graduated from Paloma. We paid for busing back then, and they won't be paying this time. But so this is progress. This was started well before we became the board. This is it's been a long time to get this in motion. A lot of hard work from our superintendent, our cabinet, Dr. Good, our MNO, Art and Hector. You guys have really worked so hard to make this successful, and there's so much further we have to go. So we're going to make our decision with confidence, and we're going to move ahead. With that said, we're going to call for a vote. Okay, on the vote, we had a motion on option one. So how are we going to handle it? Okay, okay. Okay, so we'll start with option one. We need 3 votes to pass. And at that point, I believe we'll stop, right? Once it passes, or not. So here we go. We'll vote for alternative number 1. Coming up first. And as soon as it comes up, you can vote. And action item 10.1 passes 4 votes for and 1 against. Okay, we'll move to the next item. 11.1, invitation to address the Board of Trustees on non-agendized items. And this is an information item. And our speaker is Lazan Arsden. I hope I pronounced that correctly. What's that? Arzola.
Yes.
Okay, well, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, board members and more members of the community. Thank you for having me. I am a representative of the Office of Sandy Pena Businesswoman and California delegate of the 42nd District, Vice Chair, Region 9 of the Chicano Latino Caucus. We opened our first electoral campaign office here in California. Here in Riverside County, the very first one and the only one. We are a nonpartisan organization focusing on increasing voting turnout and engagement throughout our region, and utilizing education to provide voting engagement. Voting registration outreach events, assisting high school students in registering and pre-registering to vote. California Secretary of State Alex Padilla implemented a program. Encouraging high school students to register to vote, pre-register to vote 16 to 18 years old. So young people can early and effectively participate in our political process. We seek to assist our local school directors in complying with the goal of California. Our outline of the official proclamation by Alex Padilla to register and pre-register our county high schools and students to vote. Coordinating with our high school principals to work with leadership, ASB, classes, advisors, and to promote on campus voting registration workshops. Let's see, this is long, so let me just see if I can cut this down as much as I can. Let's see, also campus voting registration trainings so that students can properly complete the California voting registration application for I live in San Diego, for Riverside County. There are 10 components in the California voters registration application that need to be completed in its entirety. So they want to go ahead and go through the components and make sure that they are completed. If there is no signature, they are not valid in its entirety. Let's see. Oh, we'd also like to engage students in the political process early. Young people involved in the first election increases the chances of lifetime participation in the political process. Each participating, each participating, sorry, I'm like, can barely see with these glasses. Let's see. Each participant provides a sense of pride in the student and community. Young people play a critical role in our democracy by helping to choose the people who will lead us by voice in their opinions on issues that are most important to them. In 2014, 52% of young voters were registered to vote. However, only 8 of the voters, 18 to 24, turned out to vote in their first election. So that's what I have right now. Is there any questions? Sorry, I kind of went through it really quick, and there's a lot here. I will leave you this pamphlet so that you can go through it in its entire.
Okay, if you could leave us some information.
Yeah.
We'll have a look at it. Our superintendent will have a look at it.
Okay, so.
So you're
Who?
exceeded
Sorry,
your
thank you
time,
for
so-
that. Who do I give this to?
You can bring it.
Okay.
Or give it down, okay. Okay, thank you. Our next item is an action item 12.1, the consent calendar, approval of consent calendar items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, before we vote, we have a speaker, Kayla Spearman. Kayla?
Hello, board members and members of the cabinet. My name is Kayla Spearman. I'm a sophomore at Paloma Valley High School. I'm ranked number 34 in the sophomore class, and I've had a 4.0 GPA since 6th grade. I've sent an email to the superintendent, but I'm here tonight to plead my case to you, the Board of Trustees, regarding the new A through G requirements, specifically making physics a requirement for graduation, which is what I've been told by my counselor at Paloma. It is my obligation, our obligation as families and students in the Paris Union High School District to voice our opinions when we feel we have been done a disservice. So I would like to start off by giving you some personal information on myself. At age 12, during a checkup from a previous surgery, my orthopedic surgeon noticed I was knock-kneed. Now, if you have any familiarity with this condition, you would know that it causes your feet to bow out and your knees to overlap each other while your ankles are touching. You may also know that the long-term effects of this condition lead to possibly needing knee replacements in your 30s and 40s. The cure to this is simply metal plates and screws being screwed and secured on the growth plates on the inner side of the knee to bow the knees back out. This was by far the most painful experience of my life, and that's coming from a 15-year-old who's had 11 precancerous moles removed. I spent months recovering, and for the first month of my recovery, I could not walk, let alone bend my legs. I had this surgery in June of 2016 and still was not fully recovered by November of that year. The summer after, I had those plates removed with a much smoother road to recovery. Anyways, this led to my inspiration. I wanted to become an orthopedic surgeon in the pediatric scene. So really, I wanted to help the kids that would be going through exactly what I went through. I know how heartbreaking it is to be genuinely worried that you would never walk again as a 12-year-old girl. And I never want any kid to have to go through that with no support. But I knew it would take lots of time, money, and effort to achieve my dream. So I started planning, rigorously and religiously. By the end of 7th grade, I knew exactly what classes I would be taking in high school, as well as what I would be doing every single year of my life until I was 32 years old. One of those high school classes I would be taking included anatomy and physiology, which will be important soon. But it hit me that my family does not have enough money to let me attend college for so long, so I had to revise my plan. I would still be taking those same classes, but instead I would become a children's nurse so I could still help those same kids, just not in the same ways. So now I come to speak in front of you with a frustrated heart and mind regarding the new A through G requirements, most specifically the science requirements. I understand this was discussed at the January 15th public board meeting, but I'm here to confront you now. We are now required to take biology, chemistry, and physics before we can take any other science elective, meaning we have no freedom for our own choice of sciences. As you can presumably tell, this has ruined my plan catastrophically. I can no longer take anatomy and physiology. You might be thinking, just take the class your senior year. Well, I don't have the space for this. I have other important classes that I cannot risk not taking, such as AP Lang, engineering, dual math, ceramics, and government and economics. This requirement has not only affected myself, but many other of my peers who are either on my level or above. For example, my close friend Emma is in honors physics right now as a sophomore. Last year she took biology and her cumulative GPA from the fall 2019 semester was a 4.2. She does not need chemistry any more than I need physics. The brain behind this decision must have been lost in itself because there's no solid reason for this requirement. The only reason I have heard is that it will look better on college applications, which is completely untrue. Students at Paloma and the other schools in our district have gotten into Ivy League colleges just fine without physics. So I would almost tell you all that instead of this new requirement being implemented on current high schoolers, to make it only on incoming students and those after, or grandfather the sophomores and juniors in and end it there. But it would not be fair to the kids who went through or are going through what I went through. The kids who have huge goals and extravagant dreams. The ones who know exactly what they want to do and will not take no as an answer. I'm not going to go down without a fight no matter what extent I have to go to. It is simply not fair. Thank you.
Thank you. Assistant Superintendent Dr. Newman will be contacting you to discuss the matter. And thank you so much for stepping forward to let us know. And it really touched my heart because I went through the same experience. I had the metal bar and the whole thing. I barely remember it, but it was a tough childhood. So I know what you went through because I did it. But thank you so much and keep working hard. Okay. So on item 12.1, do we have a motion? Oh, we did the motions? Okay. Here we go. We can vote now. And 12.1 passes 5-0. Our next item is 13.1. It's an information item, security update. A presentation from Mr. John Hannon, our Security Director of Security.
Good evening, Board, Cabinet. Before I get started, I wanted to thank the principals from all the schools. We've had some events that have happened over the last couple of weeks, and I've had to pull resources from campuses to other campuses, and each of the principals have worked with me, and I haven't heard a complaint. They've made sure that we were able to take care of one another, so I appreciate that, and I just wanted to thank them for that. For this update, we're going to talk about the training we've done so far this year. We've trained in August, in October, and in January, or December, excuse me. And we've gone through scenarios, our defensive tactics, searches, the difference between a lockdown and a hold and secure, who can call one and when you should call one. That goes in with medical emergencies. We talked about weapons on campuses, what we should do, how we should do it, what kind of wording we should use on the radios. Again, we use radio. We did some radio training. Use of force is a big one. We want to make sure that we're using reasonable and necessary force when necessary. We're training these guys that force starts with your presence. It also goes, verbally, and then we have a continuum that we can pick and choose from. went over student interaction and relationships. We spent a lot of time on that in December. We want to make sure that we're not crossing that line. It's very easy for us to cross the line. Before you know it, you look back and there's the line. We want to make sure that we are recognizing that these relationships we have with these students should only go so far, and we don't want to go too far. Next week, we're going to be doing our February training. We have 2.5 days of training with the special ed department. Emil and his group are going to be doing PROACT training with our group. That'll give us a new piece of equipment to put on our belt. Though it's not a physical piece of equipment, it will be a mental piece of equipment. They can use this equipment not only with special ed students, but throughout all their work, they can use what they're going to be taught at any time, in any situation. And we're hoping that that'll give us some positive results. The department individuals are focusing on their campuses on safety. They're particularly first and foremost their own safety. They're no use to us if they get hurt tripping and falling, running somewhere, or hit over the head in the middle of a fight. If they can't help our students, they're kind of useless to us. So we want them to be safe first, and then they can create a safe environment for learning. We're also working on being consistent in the services that we give to all the campuses. So one campus isn't getting something special that another campus isn't given, and then our people can also go from campus to campus and know that they're going to be delivering the same type of services. We're pushing hard on proactivity, given the recent events these past couple of weeks. We have to pay attention to what's going on. We've got to listen. We've got to use all our senses to try to get ahead of something before it happens and be very proactive. We're working hard on that one. And we're also trying to promote positive and productive relationships with students, with staff, with parents, community as a whole. I really want them to focus on doing their jobs to the best of their ability. I'm not interested in hearing from them how the math teacher's doing. I don't think any of my guys have math degrees, so they shouldn't be giving me updates on how the math teacher is acting. Okay. I was speaking earlier about the fact that everybody seems to be a public safety expert, especially when something bad happens, because they've watched an episode of Law and Order, or they have a relative that's a police officer. And instead of arguing that, we just recognize that that's been going on since time began. Armchair quarterbacking is something that's going to happen. We have to put that aside, do our jobs, stay off social media. You know, we don't need to read the comments. They don't matter. These people don't know exactly what happened. We do. Let's do our job. So that's the focus I want them on, especially over the next 6 months. That's going to be an ongoing thing. It's, like I said, it's something that's been going on in my 30 years of being second guessed. We just have to focus on ignoring that. Departmentally, we're really working on communication and relationships. I do have a monthly meeting with the lead campus supervisors, so we are communicating with each other, and everybody knows what's going on each campus. I've encouraged them to meet weekly with their administration and APs, go to their cabinet meetings, find out what's going on campus, share that with the teams. We want to work with all district stakeholders, attend town hall meetings, attend these meetings, find out what's going on in the community, because that's eventually going to come on campus and allows us to be proactive. We're also working on emphasizing that security is all of our responsibilities. We all know that when something bad happens, there's always somebody who gets in front of a camera and says, "I knew it. I've seen this happen 15, 20 times." But they didn't tell anybody until the cameras were there. I don't need information 6 months after it happens. I need it the first time it happens. So if you see something, say something. We're trying to get our campus supervisors to impress that on the staff at their sites, constantly talking about, tell us what's going on, as well as our students. Tell us what you hear, tell us what you see. The students are very good at doing that. We're going to work on the staffs and get them to do it as well. Employee recognition. One of the things Kirk has really pushed over the past year is recognizing our employees, and we've been trying to do that quarterly. The leads pick one person from each site. who will be the campus supervisor of the quarter. And then we all sit down together and try to figure out who's going to represent the department. Our last quarter, the people listed up there are people who were selected. Vanessa from Pinacati, unfortunately, has left us to pursue her career in law enforcement. She's going to do an outstanding job. She was one of our best. She's about this tall, but if I'm going to do a fight, that's who's coming with me. She's not afraid of anything, no fear. She's going to do an outstanding job. The Campus Supervisor of the Year is something that we're trying to come up with a way of making it happen within our own group, and we're thinking about naming it after one of our campus supervisors who passed away last year, Robert Murphy from Paloma Valley, and we're going to allow all the campus supervisors to participate in selecting that individual. We'll probably do that sometime in May, and I'll report back to you when we make that selection. And we're going to try to get his family involved, do something nice. He was quite an inspiration to a lot of students as well as a lot of campus supervisors. Upcoming training in April, we're going to try to get a couple of people into the bike training. 360 training we won't be doing again until next year. And we're going to try to do a drug and gang update as well as always scenario training. We're doing scenario trainings when we have half days. Any chance we get, our SROs are actually constantly writing up scenarios, and as any opportunity they have to get the guys involved in them, they're out there doing them. If you do it, if you live it, always living it, you play like you practice. And as always, we're looking for new equipment, technology, techniques, and tactics that'll help our team complete its mission. So I have my people out there. If they see anything, let me know. If you guys know of anything, please let me know. And before I conclude, I want to thank you all for your support and your help in making sure that we're able to do what we need to do. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I want it to be quick tonight, so any questions?
No questions. We talked earlier, so we covered the issues that I was interested in. Anyone have any questions? No? Okay. Yes. Thank you to, what's your title now? That's the Director of Security, so thank you, and we really appreciate you. We know it's a busy time of year, seems to be, for you.
Spring's coming, it's only going to get
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
But we're ready.
Okay. Well,
all right, thank you.
Thank you so much for what you
I
did.
just wanted to add, Mr. Stafford, is campus, we all know we had an incident at Heritage last week, but the campus supervisor did an awesome job of really getting things settled down and getting things worked. The admin team was very active, and I was really excited to see the teachers when they knew that something had gone on. They were out walking at lunchtime in the quad area, being at their doors in between periods, and the whole staff at Heritage did a great job during those couple of days.
And I'd like to add, if I could, and they did that without being prodded. We didn't request it, we didn't ask them. The teachers did this on their own. And I think in times of need, people will step up and do what's needed for them. You're always going to have that small group that's not going to work with you, but for the most part, we have some good folks working for us.
Thank you. Our next item is information item 13.2, special education update. Emil Alzabadi, Director of Special Education, will update the board on special education within the district. Hello, Emil.
Good evening, Mr. Stafford. Thank you very much for having me.
Great.
Board members, Superintendent Bennett, Cabinet, thank you so much. So we've got a few slides that we're going to go over. Starting off with, currently we have 1,333 students, roughly 13% of our student population. And you'll see everyone should have a packet that looks like this. It has all the slides there. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Currently, we also have 11 students in assessment. Some interesting numbers to take a look at. I'm sorry, I'm going to look at my sheet. My eyesight is getting worse and worse as I get older. So, currently, we have a declining enrollment, yet our special ed numbers are increasing. And you'll see those numbers there. 781 students from 2016, 2017, and now we're looking at 1,313 students for the 2019-2020 school year, and now the current numbers that we have, as I showed earlier, roughly 1,333 students. Just some comparison numbers here. We've all have our gen ed students in terms of ethnicity and in terms of gender, and you'll also notice the next slide over. We take a look at our special ed students. And so you'll see, again, that total number of 1,304, roughly around 1,304, 1,333, and the breakdown in regards to ethnicity as well as gender. Our district demographics, and you'll see on there again that total there. I'm just giving you different ways of taking a look at that data so you have a good understanding of what's occurring in terms of our population. And then we start taking a look at the eligibility breakdown. And this is where it gets interesting, because when you take a look at those numbers, you'll see that in regards to specific learning disability, we have 726 students. That is quite a large number there. And that number is coming in regards to our feeder schools coming in with that eligibility piece. So bear that in mind in a sense as we're looking at that piece, as well as our other health impairment. Our students that have medical diagnoses, students that have diagnoses of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, you'll see that number of 217. So let's take a look at what's been going on here recently in the last year. In February of 2019, we had a district-wide California Department of Education audit. Initially, California CDE gave us 299 names, and they've asked us to narrow down those names. In regards to the audit, that focus became in regards to eligibility, gender, ethnicity, eligibility, and other dynamics. We narrowed it down to 145 students that they want us to take a look at, and then that ultimately narrowed down to 33 students based on an audit. With that, in March of 2019, all requested documents were submitted within the expected timelines. Again, those included IEPs, reports, including psychoeducational, speech and language, occupational therapy, ERMs or education-related mental health, as well as physical therapy. They wanted discipline records, board policies, and district procedures. And we submitted all that information within the expected timelines. In April of 2019, CDE came out and did a visit, including walking the schools at Pentecostal Middle School, Paris High School, Paloma Valley High School, and one of our non-public schools. They conducted an on-site training of all special education staff and administrators as well. March and September 2019, concurrently, CDE requested the district engage in 2 different self-audits in addition to the audit we're dealing with as well. From there, all documents were submitted within expected timelines, and these 2 audits were completed with no corrective actions. That was huge. That was huge. That was the work of our case managers, our program specialists, our administrators, making sure that we got all those documents together. In September of 2019, we received 4 CDE complaints that were submitted by a district member. 3 of the 4 complaints returned with CDE reporting that the district was in compliance with the allegations. The 4th complaint resulted in district adopting what we now call a behavior emergency/incident report form, ensuring that we're now training staff on PROACT and holding IEP meetings and conducting a training with staff involved. In October 2019, all corrective actions were submitted with expected timelines, and we're waiting to hear back from CDE for the first audit that's been completed. That included holding trainings, IEP meetings, and updating various related service reports. There are still 2 IEPs that we're trying to hold at our non-public school. We just can't get the parents to come in. Once we get those parents to come in, we'll finish those completely. And we'll be done with that audit as well. So let's switch gears a little bit and go to the Office of Civil Rights. So not only did we have CDE to come out, but we had the Office of Civil Rights also come out. And so OCR determined that we were unclear in providing adequate description of specialized academic instruction services as part of the district's free appropriate public education, otherwise known as FAPE. So we looked at 3 things: the location of the SAI service, so specialized academic instruction service, in the general education setting, including math, language arts, social studies as examples, the type of service, whether it be push-in, consult, collab, or co-teaching, as well as provided by who? A paraeducator or a special education teacher. So what did we do to address this matter? Well, we did in-service trainings provided to all of our staff. IEP meetings were held to clarify the location, support, and who was providing this support. And then the services were offered to address any missed sessions. I'm happy to report OCR has found the district in compliance and has officially closed the investigation. In the back of your packet, you're going to see a letter. Just want to refer that to you. That shows that we have officially completed the process of the OCR investigation, and they are now out of our home. All right. So when we take a look at special education numbers by sites, you're going to see a breakdown in regards to California Military Institute, or CMI. We have currently 19 students there being serviced with special education needs. Heritage High School, roughly 409 students. Paloma Valley High School, 407 students. Paris High School, 280 students. Paris Lake High School, 21. Pentecostal Middle School, 185. And our Scholar Online Learning Academy, 11 students. And you'll see that as you go through the packet, the breakdown in regards to Mod Severe and the Social Emotional Academic Support Classroom, otherwise known as our SEAS classroom. Formerly, just so you're aware, the Mod Severe was formerly known as Severely Handicapped. That actually changed with the reauthorization of IDEA, and so that's why we're using the new terminology in a sense. I won't go through all those slides, but I just want you to be aware of them so that you can see that breakdown. So that leads us to Pathways as well. I forgot to mention Pathways. Pathways currently serves 82 students. Those are 82 students that used to be provided support and services to the Riverside County Office of Education that we're now providing here at our site. 18 to 22 students, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Okay, and then we get into RCOE. We currently have 25 students being supported by the Riverside County Office of Education. We have 2 students in the emotionally disturbed classroom, 12 students in the medically fragile classroom. The deaf and hard of hearing program has 4 of our students, and the students who have been expelled at this point there's 10 students, both at David A. Long or Val Verde Regional Learning Center. All right, so what's to come? We're enhancing and expanding our SEAS classroom, or social emotional academic supports classrooms, focusing on student educational needs, addressing the social emotional behavioral aspects. We're training all staff in regards to PROACT, and so that'll be coming as well, and we'll be recertifying every 2 years in addition to that training, so that way we're staying afresh and afloat with that piece. And in terms of what we are actually doing in terms of trainings, we're doing a CDE training regarding educational benefits. We have conducted an IEP training A through Z. We've done behavior management trainings, ongoing with PROACT, writing IEP goals, behavior intervention training for substitute teachers in the SEAS classrooms, administrator designee trainings, manifestation and determination meeting trainings, and then role of the case carrier trainings. I know I'm going through a lot. That's quite a bit of information. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Thank you for this in-depth report. I've noticed in the last several years, during the last decade, perhaps, that we've been going from like 10% now up to 13 and still rising. In your opinion, what is causing it here? I mean, it seems, because it's not just here. I see here the same percentage everywhere. Is it because they're being diagnosed from doctors, or is it because of the IEPs that are now catching what they didn't catch before, or maybe they're adding things that didn't come? I don't know. What in your mind is leading to this increase?
Dr. Freeman, that's a great question. I neglected to share also that when I looked at those numbers, I also looked at all 26 of our member LEAs, and they're all within that same range of 13 to 14%, as you adequately shared. I think a couple of reasons are going on. Number one, we've got students that are really struggling academically, in a sense, for a multitude of reasons. That based on that piece, we're looking at those interventions, and those interventions are not enough. So that's where we're looking at special education to support our students as well. It ranges as well in terms of when we take a look at ADHD, we have doctors that are doing a better job of diagnosing now that the DSM-5 came out with the updates and the reauthorization pieces of that component. We have doctors and therapists that are doing a much better job of looking at that eligibility components from that standpoint. Now, of course, medical diagnoses don't dictate our eligibility for special education, but we do consider that, and we take that in consideration when we do our assessments as well. So there's a multitude of factors from that standpoint. And I will tell you, there's other areas that researchers are looking at currently that we can spend a good 20, 30 minutes discussing.
One last thing. I remembered recently I've been doing some substitute teaching with middle school students.
Yes, sir.
In PE, and I remembered something from training when I was a teacher about oppositional defiant disorder. Okay,
Correct.
Is this something that is considered under special education, or is this something that kids are growing in and out of?
Great question. Actually, when you look at optional defiant disorder or conic disorder, those are exclusionary factors for special education. So when we look at it, it falls under the Educational Code of Social Maladjustment, And when we take a look at social maladjustment, it's one of the exclusionary factors, that we actually do not qualify kids under that condition. Absolutely.
On page 4, under California Department of Education, it says September 2019. The third bullet point, okay, so the first two is clear about CDE compliance were submitted, or complaints were submitted by a district member. Second one talks about 3 or 4 complaints returned with CDE reporting that the district was in compliance with allegations. The third bullet says the fourth complaint resulted in the district adopting a behavior emergency incident report for PROACT and holding an IEP meeting and conducting a training with staff involved. Was that the district's doing, or was that a directive by CDE? Because I was listening to everything you're saying, you're referencing CDE and everything, but this one just caught my attention. Was that just something the district implemented on its own?
So actually CDE said that we had to hold an IEP meeting to address that concern, and they asked, what kind of documentation have you now created to ensure that parents are notified when a behavior restraint has occurred? That's the reason we did that. We actually did the form on our own.
Okay.
But it was a recommendation that we develop some form if we didn't have one.
Okay, that's what I wanted. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
Comments?
Yeah.
Dr. Rao?
Thank you, Mr. Stafford. First of all, thank you for this presentation. Can you give us an estimate about how many of the students, well, we have like 500 and something students identified as special ed from 2016 in 3 years,
Yes.
the last 3
Yes.
years. About what percentage were identified here in our district, or did they, when they came to our district, they were already there?
Dr. Rao, that's a great question. I can go back and take a look at those percentages. I've got rough numbers in a sense for you, but they're not exact. The good majority of our students qualifying for special education is coming from our feeder schools. We've done a good job in taking a look at those SST meetings and holding those SST meetings and looking at what interventions we need to look at. How do we support the student in the least restrictive setting, as well as what interventions we can provide before we look at such an invasive level of support.
Okay.
But I can actually get you those numbers if you like.
Yeah, and it's really important to provide the services to the
Absolutely.
students if they have those the disabilities.
Absolutely.
It is our responsibility,
Yes,
right,
sir.
and our obligation to help them overcome them. And probably this question is mostly for Ms. Rains. Do you have an estimate? As you know, we receive some funding for special ed, but it's not enough. What would be an estimate of the gap between the services that we are providing and the funding that we are receiving?
So off the top of my head, I couldn't answer that, but I know I did put together a little narrative recently. So let me look back at one of those weekly updates. I think it was the I think it was the same question, but I wouldn't have the answer off the top of my head. But your point is taken. There is a very large. Gap. You don't happen to remember that number, Alicia? Do you? No. Okay. So. But what I'd be happy to do is get that to you, and if it wasn't part of what we did before, we can look at that.
Yeah,
It may not have been, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's okay. But it's interesting and important, right? That we are still providing and we will continue to provide those services. That's what our students deserve, even though we don't get the funding.
Thank you, Dr. Ross. Emil, I just wanted to thank you for the hospitality yesterday at your event. I really like the way you put that together, and thank all the participants from the other schools and for braving the wind out there. And it wasn't too bad, but the sun could warm you up a little bit. It was very nice.
Dr. Stafford, thank you so much. I will tell you, I cannot take credit for that. That was really Sonia's doing with Sylvia's work. The team members, it was a collaborative effort, and I cannot stand here and take credit for that at all. So thank you very much. Thank you.
You have a great team, and that's appreciated. I know that school well. I've seen the progress. Your community garden looks great, and that's going to be a great thing. So, and your report, I'll read it a little more thoroughly, but it looks really good. You're giving us some good demographic information that is always the question I've learned from Dr. Arau, that data usually shows everything.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's really good.
And I just want to add, Mr. Stafford, is the amount of work that Emil and Cassandra and his whole team did to get us out of both the OCR complaints and the CDE complaints was amazing what they did. And we're proud of what they've done, and we really appreciate all that hard work
Thank
for
you.
you and your team.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
It seems you've really righted the ship in a very quick fashion.
We're working on it, sir. We're working on it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Stafford?
Hold on.
Dr. Rao, I was able to find the answer to your question. It was Search Ninja here, $9,096, and that was as of 18-19, because we used a complete year per student.
Yes.
Was that your question? Did I hear that correctly? Yes. $96.
Let's say 10,000.
In addition, so what we spend on a regular ed versus a special education student.
That's the gap, the 9,000.
Yeah.
1,333 students.
So we anticipate the growth in special ed is going to continue?
Continue to grow.
Yeah.
That's the projection, yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Wow, the costs are soaring, but we must provide, and we will.
And we're doing everything we can to minimize and to make sure that we're maximizing our resources.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Our next item is information item 14.1, discipline. This is the January 2020 monthly suspension reports. The next item is information item 15.1, business. Is the revolving cash report for January 2020. (16.1) action item, closed session if necessary.
Not necessary, Mr. Stafford.
Okay. No closed session. Our next item is 17.1, which we'll bypass. Thank you, guys. Next item is an action item 18.1, general functions, 2020 CSBA Delegate Assembly election. So on this, Dave, do you have any information on this? Were we supposed to? We have to vote for.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay.
That
Now we can
we
discuss.
have 5 names up there for the 6 positions. I move that we just pick all of them.
You were asking for information. This is essentially the delegate assembly members. I've been a member of the delegate assembly for the last 2 years, where I get a chance to go and I get information from what CSBA has been working on for the past year, and what they intend to, what the issues they intend to try to help or to tackle, whatever happens to be. We've been talking a lot about special education and the funding dealing with special education. This is essentially 5 people for 6 open spots for the delegate assembly. I happen to be one of them, but if there's, the window has closed to nominate anybody. So if all 5 of these were elected, then somebody would probably be appointed to fill that 6th spot for the remainder of the term, which 2 years is the term.
Well, we can take the names as Dr. Frieden said. Yeah.
I made the
Okay.
motion.
Any, I don't know if this is a proper place to discuss NSBA.
Not really for me to speak at this time. If you need information, I would definitely write to the CSBA leadership in Sacramento, and they can give you any relatively pertinent information and most timely information that they have. As of right now, I have not heard anything new, but I really can't talk about that just yet. So.
Okay, all right. Okay, we have the motions, and let's vote. Did you want us to, anything, Trustee Garcia, Dr. Rao? No. Okay. Okay, we'll vote. Yes, but they need 6, so they'll appoint this David. Yeah. You want?
I wouldn't be appointed. I can get you in touch with you. You really want to do it?
I've got that recorded on tape.
We're going to vote yes. Nothing's come up yet. No.
I already voted.
You voted?
No, we all voted. It's just that Mr. Stafford has not voted yet.
Yeah.
staffers don't have a radar vote. How did I get back? That's right, that's right. Where's that little tab we get to? Where? Oh, okay. Okay, we got it now. 18.1 passes 5-0. Our next item is an action item 18.2, general functions, resolution number 2019-20, trustee compensation for missed meetings.
Second.
Okay, we'll vote. Oh, I'm sorry. 18.2 passes 4 with one abstention. Next item is an action item, 18.3, personnel, certificated personnel action items. We'll vote. .3 passes 5-0. 18.4 is personnel, classified personnel action items. Do we have a motion? We'll vote. 18.4 passes 5-0. 18.5 is personnel, resolution number 25-19-20, decrease the number of certificated employees due to reduction of or elimination of a particular kind of service. Do we have a motion? Okay, comments?
I just want to make sure this is that TOSA position.
Okay, we'll vote. .5 passes 5-0. Next item is an action item, 18.6, curriculum, agreement with building assets and reducing risk to provide educational support services to students and teachers at Paris High School through the Network for School Improvement. This is funded through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation grant at a total cost not to exceed $33,000, not the general fund. Do I have a motion? Okay, we'll vote. Any comments? Okay. 18.6 passes 5-0. Next item is an action item, 18.7, building and grounds, resolution number 19-20, resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Paris Union High School District approving the site lease and facilities lease and market-related findings funded through the various facilities funds at a total cost for Phase 1 not to exceed $75,000, not the general fund. Do I have a motion? Discussion. Trustee Nelson, anything? Dr. Freeman? Garcia and Dr. Brown? No. Okay, we'll vote. There we go. 18.7 passes 5-0. 18.8 is discipline. Board review of discipline matters is an action item. Do I have a motion? Okay, any discussion? Okay, we'll vote. Okay, 18.8 passes 5-0. Next item, 18.9, discipline, reinstatement of student discipline matters. This is an action item. Do I have a motion? Any discussion? Okay, everybody's good? Okay, we'll vote. Action item 18.9 passes 5-0. Information item 19.1, other items by the superintendent.
Just one thing, I want to wish Audrey all the best with her upcoming delivery. Hopefully it goes smooth and everything goes well, and we look forward to have you back. Have a good time. What are you doing? This is probably your last meeting.
Definitely the last.
The last day is tomorrow.
And when to return? When? She said next Thursday. August. Okay. That's good.
Rick's gonna have to run the whole show.
He can do it. He's a good man. All right. Any other items? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Our next item. Information item 20.1, other items by the Board of Trustees.
Yeah,
Trustee Nelson.
I'll start. Thank you. I do want to thank everybody who came out to the town hall meeting, and all of us really appreciate the opinions you guys had, making sure your voice was heard. That I wanted to make sure everybody got a chance to speak on their feelings for the boundary. I'm sorry if people were disappointed in some certain circumstances, but we have to do what's best for all the students and not just a small section of our population. So I really hope people understand that, and I'm hoping that the opening of Liberty goes smoothly and we have good numbers at all of our schools, and it all goes, and we get rid of our overcrowding issues. And thank you for coming in. Thank you.
Dr. Freeman. Okay, thank you. Trustee Garcia.
Yes, Dr. Good, you did a fantastic job. Everything that was mentioned in the town hall meetings, I appreciate how you handled yourself very well. Candace, you too, Mr. Bennett. I'm sorry you guys went through what you went through, but you did a very good job. Josh, thank you for coming out and supporting everybody, and everybody else who came out and supported. That's what family's about. We get each other's backs no matter what, through thick and thin. And I'm actually very pleased with the decision we came about to, because I feel we did what was best for all of our kids. Not those kids, all of our kids. So, good job to everybody.
Dr. Rao.
I just want to say thank you also to Dr. Good and the superintendent and the cabinet members. Yeah, I am glad that we finally made that decision. And thank you to both unions. I know Jason is not here, for your support. And that means we are in the same page. We are here for the students. Thank you to everybody who was there also. Another comment, if I know that you are going to contact the student who spoke, but I really would like to have a better understanding, even though we approved that, right? But I was thinking in my mind, maybe I didn't realize, right? Because usually you have a requirement of a physical science, and it can met through different classes. Earth and space, the other one is physics, even chemistry is one of them. So it seems that we approve that as a high school graduation requirement specifically. That's not the case. That's what I said. No, I couldn't have approved physics, right? Even though I don't have the specific language. Yes, yeah, it's an option.
You're saying her counselor was mistaken when he told her.
So what I'm saying is Julie and the principal Tamazian just met with that family and got everything cleared up right now. So she's
Okay,
good. Yeah.
okay, yeah, because I was, that
So those
doesn't
are the
make
new NGSS courses, the new course sequences approved. But it sounds like the way it was communicated wasn't quite clear, so we just cleared that up tonight.
Okay, okay, I'm glad that that was the case, because we said, you meet the physical requirement in different ways, so why it has to be physics? Yeah, so, thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rao. That is good news. Great job, Julie and Mrs. Tomasian. Congratulations with your maternity leave, and we'll miss you, but we know this is one of the best times of your life. I'm presently taking care of some newborns. So I know, as grandpa, yeah, nothing new for me. Yeah, I'm a good babysitter. Oh yes, I'm the baby whisperer. Really, my wife's mad at me. I just want to thank everyone that presented tonight, John and Emil, and I want to thank the deputy. Each month we have a deputy, and he's here for us. And thank you so much for everything you do. And we know you're there. So. We have a little housekeeping to do. We have to pick our assignments for graduation speaking. So we have, Grant, can you go down the list for us?
We have on Tuesday, June 2nd at 10 a.m., we have Scholar Plus. It's going to be at Heritage High Theater. That same day at 2 o'clock, we have the PALS promotion in the Heritage High Theater. And 6 o'clock that evening, we have Paris Lake High School at Paris High School. June 2nd.
Second, third, fourth, fifth.
June 2nd, Paris High School?
We have Paris Lake.
Paris Lake, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because I get Paris Lake.
Edward wants Paris Lake.
Any preferences? Trustee Edward has Paris Lake. Trustee Nelson, do you have a preference?
Hey, I'll do whatever you want. I don't care.
Okay. Heritage? Okay.
Is that the last one this year, or they switch it?
Paloma's the last one.
Well,
David with
okay.
Paloma.
I know I'll take Penicotti. Dr. Rao take Paris.
Randy has Heritage.
Randy, Dr. Freeman, you have Heritage.
And then we have CMI's graduation on Friday morning at 9 o'clock.
And what was the other one? Oh, I'll do Scholar Plus.
Tony's going to do Scholar Plus also.
Yeah. Okay. What day Penicotti's the next?
Penicotti's is on Wednesday at 9 o'clock in the morning.
I'll do CMI. I'll do CMI. I'll be the Friday one. I'll do CMI.
Okay. I'll have Scholar Plus and Penicotti.
So
You want to?
if we're having speakers, I'm not sure if we had speakers at CMI 8th grade last year.
Not 8th grade. We did
The high school.
They hesitated to whether they wanted it or not.
Actually,
So.
Edward wants to do CMI. I'll be in the backup in case he has to work that night.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
Do we want a speaker at the PALS promotion?
Did we have one last year?
I don't know if you want a speaker there, Emil?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Randy?
Dr. Freeman just stepped up, as he always does. So, thank you, Dan.
That's got all of them covered.
Okay, we have them covered. I'll do Scholar Plus and Penicotti. Okay, that's good. That's all. I'm just thinking if I had any other comments or concerns. No. So we'll move on to the next item. 21.1 is action item adjournment. Okay. Wait for the vote. .1 passes 5-0. The meeting is now adjourned at 7:26 p.m.